Hello everyone. Today we are going to focus on our demo will be focus on Cloud Composer. So we'll be doing a demo to understand how Cloud Composer, which is based on popular open source workflow tool Apache Airflow, manage workflow for data analytics pipeline for data pipelines. Essentially, we would be looking at how Cloud Composer help in monitoring or orchestrating workflow across ingestion, transformation, and analysis of the data to find out meaningful information within. Essentially, we would create a simple workflow using Cloud Composer that would verify existence of data file, create a cloud data prog cluster, and run a Hadoop word count job on cloud data prog cluster, and then it would go ahead and delete the cluster once job has completed and we have done our verification. So before we get started, let's set up our environment and let's verify our ID information and project details. So to start with, let's go ahead and click our Cloud console. Let's try to activate Cloud Shell. Give it a few minutes while it is activating. Let us find our account. So we have verified account information here. Let's verify project details. We have correct project ID. Now let's go ahead and create a Cloud Composer. So we'll have to go to Big Data. So come to your navigation panel here, go to Big Data and click on Composer. We will have to create our environment so that Airflow workflow engine would know where all the information are. We'll say name as high CPU. Location would be US Central 1. Zone would be US Central 1A. So let us US Central 1A. And machine type would be N1 CPU. N1 CPU 4. N1 high CPU 4. And one high CPU 4. We don't need to add any other information. Now we'll go ahead and we'll create Composer instance. So give it a few minutes. It's just trying to load the information on the backend. This would take a few minutes, and while this is coming up, we can go ahead and create a storage bucket. So we have to go to Cloud Storage. We'll have to go to Storage, Browser, and create bucket. So Storage, browser. Let's go ahead and create bucket. So now we have to create our bucket here. So we'll say storage bucket. Storage. So we created our bucket there. We had to give it a unique name, so it took some time to get the naming convention right. So now we are going to define the workflow. So essentially, when you think about Airflow and Airflow related core concepts, uh, Airflow is a platform to programmatically author, schedule, and monitor your workflows. Uh, with Airflow, you can author your workflows as a DAGs, directed acyclic graph of task. Uh, Airflow scheduler would execute your task on array of workers while following the specified dependency. Now, if you look at few of the core concepts, you have DAG, which is, as I mentioned a few minutes back, a cyclic graph of different tasks that you want to run, organized in a way that reflects the relationship and dependencies. You have something called operator. Operator is a description of single task that is usually automatic. You have bash, for example, let's say a bash operator, which would execute your bash command. You have task, which is a parameterized instance of an operator. Uh, you can call it a node in the larger DAG graph. You have instant task instance. It's a specific run of a task uh, at any given point in time. So it could be in a running state, success, failed, or skip. So these are few of the stages that a task can be. Now, what we are going to do is we are going to define the workflow. Uh, and we have this workflow in Airflow's DAG folder, and Airflow will dynamically go through its DAG folder, pick up this file, and execute each and every command present in that file. So we have to make sure that we defined all our generic tasks as clearly as possible so that it would form as a logical unit of work for Apache workflow. So you have this bucket details. So let us go back and see if our composer instance is up and running. So we go to big data, we go to composer. So it's still getting created. Let's give it a few more minutes to see if it gets created. Okay, so as you see here, we have our composer instance up and running. So if you click on here, you see there are different tabs available here. You have environment configuration, you have airflow configuration overrides. You have environment variables, labels, PY/PI packages, and here you see different kind of information about your DAGs, how many completed DAGs we have, what is the duration, median duration for a DAG to finish, and what are the relevant completed task, bag size, and you have like a bunch of different metrics that you can leverage. So let's go back to environments page. So if you look on the environments detail page, you have this different environment configuration, airflow configuration. If you click on environment configuration, you see here you are using Python version 3. For Composer, you're using Airflow 1.10.2. You have node count as 3. Disk size, we have 100 GB available. Stack driver logs. So these are all the information that you can see here from the environment details page. Now let's go back to, so if you see here, Airflow web server, let's click on that. So here, as you can see, this is a DAG view for Airflow. So if you come here, you'll see a lot of information about your DAG. You can go ahead and look at the data profiling capabilities. You can also browse different kind of jobs. You can have your admin, your docs. Essentially, you can see what are the different kind of tasks run, what were the DAG run times, and what is the performance of your overall DAG here. So now let's go ahead and click on variables, and we'll try to create few new variables for the Airflow. So let's click on admin and click on variables. Now you go ahead and click on create. We'll set up now we have to give variable name. So we need to provide project ID information. So come here, we'll provide this information. We'll say save. We need to add one more. Actually, there are a few more that we need to add. So we have added this three information here. We have our bucket name, we have our zone information, and we have our project ID. Now what we are going to do, now we are going to upload this DAG to cloud storage. So we'll have to go back to our cloud shell. So let's go back here. We are back to our cloud shell. Wait. So we copy Python doc sample files to our virtual Google Cloud location. Let's change our working directory. Okay. So we have all these test files available in our directory here. Now let's go back to our environments. So now what we are going to do is we are going to upload our Hadoop tutorial word count file to our cloud storage bucket, which gets automatically created when we create the environment. So let's go to Composer, Environment, DAG folder. DAG folder. Let's click on DAG. You see here we have this airflow monitoring file. Let's go back to our Composer. So you have your DAG folder here. Let's go back to our cloud shell here. This is our DAG folder. So we have our file in our DAG folder. Now again, go back to our DAG viewer. Where is our DAG viewer? DAGs. So we are not seeing our file in here. So we have our file is missing somewhere. Let us try to find it. Okay, now let's go and check in the DAG Airflow bucket. So we're having some kind of issue here. Looks like we're missing one DAG, so I'm trying to upload that. Let's give me 1 second. Dash I CPU dash P0D 64A 95 dash. Okay. Okay, I cannot go to that directory. Okay. So let me go back here. let me try to find the DAG path of it. Okay, so we have this DAG folder here. Let me try to go here. So I'll do gsutil. Okay, so we have that file here. So now if I go and look at the DAG, I should have that information here. Let us get the directory information. So I have 4 successful DAGs. Okay, so I should be seeing 4 DAGs here. Okay, so I think I know what the mistake is. Okay, so now I have added that in my DAG folder. So I'm getting this file here. I'm going into this location. I have my Hadoop, this thing. I click on my DAG folder. Okay, so if I come here, okay, so I have this so as you can see, I have this composer Hadoop tutorial. This was the DAG that I was trying to pull in. Somehow it was not getting the correct directory, but now we have this information. Now let's click on the graph view. Where is the graph view? So if you see here, we are creating a cluster of Dataproc. We are running Dataproc Hadoop, and then essentially we are deleting the Dataproc cluster. Let's try to click refresh, just to be sure that we are looking at the right. Now, if you go ahead and if you click on cluster, so if you create Dataproc cluster, so what you're seeing here is you have different kind of task available here. Click clear to reset all these 3 tasks. Okay, so we have reset everything for that job now. Now, if you see here, the Dataproc, now the color has changed. Now it is in the run mode. You see it is running right now if you click on here. Let's go back to navigation. Go back to Dataproc and big data. Where do we have big data? Okay, go to Dataproc. Click on this cluster. So right now you see here, they have created a Dataproc cluster, because if you see here, this is your first step. Your workflow is creating your Dataproc cluster, then it would run that Dataproc cluster, and finally click on the job. So if you look at the jobs here, there's no job to show here. Because the cluster is still spinning up. You see, the cluster got deleted. So you had that cluster, the cluster got created, the cluster got deleted. Now come back to your Airflow DAG and see, try to refresh this. Restart, run. We're trying to run. So if you see here, this green portion, it is running. Let's see how long it would take. You see, DAG is now fresh as a daisy. So they have very good comment in there. Let's go back and look at the clusters. So you see this cluster has been created. They are provisioning this cluster. And it is because this Airflow is created. Your graph, if you want to see task duration, you can click on task duration and see how things have been done. So you see, you have this master node, worker nodes, 500 GB web interface. This is still running, so let's give a few more minutes. So essentially what is happening here is the cluster is trying to create, and then it would delete the cluster itself. And we are not manually doing it. We have this Cloud Composer Airflow based orchestration process, which is initiating the cluster, running the job, deactivating the cluster. Now you see the cluster is up and ready. Now if you go here and if you try to refresh, create cluster is done. Because you see this blue, right? The status is running. Now they're trying to run the Hadoop data prog job. So if you go here, click on this cluster, look at the job, you have this data prog job run. You see here, you have this data prog job run. And you have this airflow, because if you see green box around here, it means we are running that data prog Hadoop job. So if you come here, this job is running right now. They are running MapReduce behind the scene. And once that job is completed, it would go ahead and delete the cluster. So job output is complete. You have this thing run. I'll try to refresh this. Now you see it is coming to your delete data prog. So if you go here, your cluster would be getting deleted right now. You see here, this cluster, they're deleting right now. See? Their status is deleting if you see here. And if you come here on Diagflow, it's screen, it's running. So that's where you can easily correlate here that you're trying to delete. So as you can see here, we have not explicitly done anything here. We just got our configuration ready in Apache Airflow. It is creating a cluster, running our jobs and deleting the cluster, because we have defined that workflow process as a DAG, and we are configuring everything, the complete orchestration through Airflow. Give it a few more minutes, and if you try to go ahead and refresh here. It's still getting deleted. Success. So this is your create data prog cluster is success. Your run data prog underscore Hadoop job is successful, and your delete data prog cluster is successful. So if you go back here and try to refresh, you would not have any of your cluster here. You see create cluster. Now what we could do is we could come here. We could clear here. So if you see task instance, so we had 3 tasks: create data prog cluster, delete data prog cluster, and run data prog cluster. Okay. So now we don't have anything here. We can go back, run everything right now. So you see data prog cluster is running. Now if you come here and try to refresh, it is starting provisioning your data prog cluster. Again, if you come here, you see green box around this, it means the job is running. They are creating the cluster. The provisioning of cluster is happening right now. You click refresh, and here they would tell you like, okay, it is taking this much seconds who is the operator. So we have created data proc cluster, and if you want to look at the script here that we uploaded, let me see if I can find that script. So you see here, these are the three DAG variables. We created this DAG variables, we created GCP project, we created GCP zone, we created GCS project bucket. We are setting our word count jar. We are giving default attributes here. We are saying that, okay, this is what we are going to do with our DAG. Create a cloud data proc cluster. So that is what is happening right now. We are creating a data proc cluster. If you see here, this name and here create data proc cluster, it's the same instance. So we are creating the cluster. We are giving data proc ID. Now we are running the cluster. So run data proc Hadoop. If you see here, run data proc Hadoop. And then finally, we are saying delete data proc cluster. Delete data proc cluster. If you try to refresh here, you see this is still running. Now create cluster, that process got completed. It was successful. So if you come here, try to refresh, your cluster is up and running. Click here. There, run data proc is working right now. So once your cluster is up and ready here, if you click on job, see this is your job, which is up and ready. Right now that job is running. Once that job completes, you would have delete data proc cluster, which would go ahead and delete the cluster. So using Apache Airflow, you did three things. You created the cluster, you did some kind of processing, and then you go ahead and you're deleting the cluster itself. So it gives you end-to-end view of how you would do some kind of orchestration of a job using Google Cloud Composer capabilities. Let's try to say refresh. You see, the job got completed. So now if you come here, try to refresh, job output is complete. So now if you go back to your cluster, because your delete cluster is delete cluster data proc cluster job is running, you come here and you look at the cluster details, it would say deleting. You see here, this is what the status is deleting. So delete data proc cluster is running right now to go ahead and delete that status. So as I said, right, the goal of this demo was to showcase how you can orchestrate a job using Cloud Composer. So when you have a production level job, multiple jobs running, you can have your Airflow engine running and you can configure, you can also schedule jobs, and you can have different kind of processes that you want to run or different kind of triggers. So you have run, you have stop. Let me show you this here. So you have task instance details, you have run, clear, you can mark fail, you can also schedule it in the future. So these are few of the activities that you could do. So let's try to refresh. Deleted. If you refresh here, job is completed, success. So hope you guys enjoyed this end-to-end demo. Let me know if there are any other questions. If not, we can conclude here. Thank you.